how important is physics in our society? You will hear hundreds of times that physics is essential to solve the mysteries of the universe, to understand reality and to develop scientific innovations at a micro and macro technological level. But we forget that it's not only basic in the digital industry to the automotive and aerospace industries, among many others, but in everyday life, without the laws of physics that we know today, we would not be able to explain unconscious acts such as speaking, walking, writing, or choking to death from your own vomit after a crazy night. Yes, we could say that physics has made our lives much more comfortable, unless you are one of those who prefers to wash clothes by hand and to eat raw food. But if you are just one more guy in the crowd, you should be extremely grateful. Without physics, no type of technology would be possible. A simple wheel, which is not that simple, has required enormous studies of physics to understand its operation and development. This voice
just couldn't be happening now.
So today we'll dive into the amazing world of physics and how it has become in the pillar of the modern world, although we don't understand precisely what it's all about. 3, 2, 1, lift off.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you for being here today. And thanks to you, yes, I'm talking about you who are listening to us far, far away. I hope we are going to make you a great company. Today we are with Michele Gastaldo. He is from Italy. Welcome to the program. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
How long time you are living here in Prague? I'm good, yes. I have one beer today. It's great.
I've been living in Prague for about 4 years now.
Great. And as you know, as is like a tradition in the program, and today is the number 11 program that we are producing, we start the questions asking how much is your salary and if you feel happy with it.
Okay, I thought of a riddle for my salary. It's about a round number, and the first number is equal to the number of digits that follow.
Okay.
Like 6 millions, for instance, but spoiler, it's not that. And, I'm relatively happy, yeah.
The average salary in Czech Republic is 40,000. We are talking about more and less.
We are talking about the average approximately.
Okay, great. We have this, old-fashioned idea that the physicist works in like very dark offices full of blackboards, making calculation after calculation. But I would like to know, how is a typical day in your job?
Well, that's a very romantic view,
Yes.
but I'm an experimentalist actually. I mostly work in a lab and specifically with vacuum machines. So a lot of my job is actually about screwing and unscrewing nuts, way more than you would expect for a physicist. And so that's where I spend most of my day.
But tell us more about the routine. What time you arrive to the office? What time you leave to the office? Do you have canteen in your office?
Okay. Well, we have a canteen near the office, yes.
Yeah.
The time of arrival is not really set by the institute. We are required to be there between 9 and 2 to coordinate with the others, but we are pretty free.
Between 9 and 2, you can arrive to your office?
That's when we're required to be there.
Yeah. Between 9 and 2, you should be there.
I usually arrive a bit later, or around 10 or 9:30, and leave between 6 and 7. And then usually the first thing is ask my colleague Gonzalo what we have planned to do for the day, and then
And how is the dynamic with the team? If you have a team or you work like in solitary in the office?
Now we work a lot as a team. A lot of the operations we are doing for preparing the samples require 2 people at least.
How many people is in the team?
Currently 4, I would say, 4 or 5 approximately. Then actually the group of research is bigger, but in the lab we are those.
And how is the hierarchy relationships in the lab? You have a supervisor, and this supervisor is like a mentor tutor, or is like a boss?
Okay, well, in the lab we are pretty much equal when working. There is, well, some have spent more time in the lab, so there is experience as a hierarchy. But yeah, mostly equal. Then we have a group leader. That's the one setting the direction of work, essentially.
But the work leader is not the supervisor, is another guy, or is in the same team?
He's in the same team. He doesn't work in the lab hands-on, but he's the supervisor out of the lab, that's all. Yeah, partly a boss, partly also a mentor.
Okay, great. Well, this is going to be a little bit like a job interview in the beginning, you know? Now we want to talk about your expectations. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have the feel that in the near future you can access to some promotion in your job?
Well, that's not too clear because promotions work a lot on CV and projects.
And if it's not like promotion, like some kind of stability, like you think like in 5 years you can still there working in this project?
I don't really know. That depends on a lot of factors, mostly on these projects.
I was asking you that to know or to have some idea about how much money we have involved in your field, you know? Because we want to know if this field where you are working has like enough budget to continue the projects and the research.
Well, my field is a pretty rich one because it's graphene and 2-dimensional materials, and the European Union has invested 1 billion euros in it because it's strategic, so to say.
Well, it is a strategy.
It is, okay. But, so mine is a particularly lucky field. There's a lot of money. It's all about getting projects and getting grants for it.
And have you ever feel like overwhelmed in the job, like you have a lot of tasks and you need to do like some kind of extra hours, or the job, this relation between your personal life and job is like okay?
Well, here in my current job in Czech Republic, I'm pretty happy. There's a good work-life balance. It was more of an issue during the PhD. I did it in Spain, but I think it's general for PhDs that it seems a never-ending job all the time, and weekends, nights are all available for work.
Now I'm going to make you some personal question. Do you have children?
No.
And do you plan to have it? And be careful because your partner is here today in the recording. We don't want to broken his heart,
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say I plan to, but I would like or I wouldn't dislike it. Let's put it like that. Huh?
It's like an accident,
Well, not.
Well, because I ask you that because it's important, because many scientists has to decide to or dedicate to their family life or continue their career. And I'm talking about the woman scientist. And we prepare some flash for talk about that.
The role of women in physics, in science in general in Czechia, is truly anecdotal. Therefore, we have reasons to stop for a moment and think. What's going on when the majority of university graduates are women, but they are so underrepresented in science? Not only here, but the situation all around the globe is so bad that a specific International Day of Women and Girls in Science is even necessary. Every 11th of February, the role of women in science is vindicated, trying to visualize them in training, work, and the development of research. The proportion of female researchers in the Czech Republic is among the lowest in the European Union. It's only the 27% and only 15% of professors are women. The only 7% of women serve as directors of public research institutions. However, it's so boring to continue giving data when we already know that the problem is structural, that it crosses all social strata and all subjects. Obviously, in physics also happens. There's a strong prejudice against female researchers who have children. According to many, they will never be 100% committed to science, and they will not achieve such results because of motherhood. Not to mention the prejudice of alpha machos who don't like that a woman does the work a hairy man can do, or the humiliating treatment to them from small offices with small bosses, with small cocks, but big traumas instead. We wanted to have a couple of minutes to make you think about this. It's a fact that science excludes women in everyday practice, and it's not enough to apply laws that try to equalize rights, but also that schools teach to value talent without prejudice, wherever it comes from.
This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing, no, nothing, not little thing without a woman or a girl.
That is clear also today because in the recording event we have only guys, Any woman is here today. There is a woman in your team in the lab?
No, actually not. In the office, I have I share an office with two
The
women.
secretary,
No. They just do a different job.
Great, good. Well, I think your personal experience is useful to have one idea, but let's try to expand the picture a little bit. I would like to know if you know how many physics research centers we have here in the country or in the city, and how many people like scientists are working there. Do you know that?
Not exactly. I can say that the Czech Academy of Science, that's the main research institution, has 54 research centers and more than 8,000 workers in it, but not all of them researchers, only a bit more than the half. In Prague, I don't know exactly. Bear in mind that the Czech Academy of Science has more than just physics and science, also humanities.
Yeah. And I also think that, I don't know, between the artists, this dream to maybe in some moment make a hit and become famous and earn a lot of money. And I think in the area of the scientists, the dream is like make a notable discovery and, I don't know, win the Nobel Prize or something like this.
Absolutely.
But I would like to ask you, if you make, for example, one important or relevant discovery in your lab, who benefits from it? Is going to be the laboratory? Is going to be yourself? Is going to be the team? Is going to be your boss? Who has the property of this intellectual rights of the discovery?
Well, let's say the intellectual, maybe not rights, but the merits are for the researchers. Of course, there can be discussion of who was the one making the discovery, but it's still personal. It's a bit different if we are talking of the intellectual rights in terms of patents or things that can be sold that are of interest to industry. In that case, the rights are usually shared between the researcher and the one owning the labs. So our labs are usually expensive, so we cannot have them at home, so it's shared.
That means that this kind of dream is a little bit realistic?
No, well, a Nobel Prize can still be won, and all the rights are for the researchers.
Yeah, but you were talking before that you have like how many scientists in the laboratory, in the research center, working here?
In my lab, you mean? Or?
Yeah, no, you told me before in the research center in Prague.
Let's say about 4,000.
Yeah, 4,000, How many of them are going to win the Nobel Prize or are going to discover something relevant,
Oh, well, that's very difficult, of course.
Yeah.
It's super competitive in that sense.
Well, I don't want to ruin the dreams of nobody, but let's continue. I would like to also ask you if you feel like some pressure to publish your discoveries in these academic journals.
Of course, we all do. The saying is publish or perish. It's how we survive in science. It's our CV. So there is always a pressure.
There is one criticism to this system that now you evaluate the relevance of one scientist in relation of how many articles you are published in the academic journals and how many times you are like quoted in the job of someone else. But some of the critics to this system said that now the scientists are focused more in studies that are going to be quickly or easily make some article about it without go deeply or long-term studies. What do you think about that?
Well, it is a reality. It's there is always this pressure to publish, so it can be difficult at times to go deep enough. I've had that experience also of like struggling to go deeper instead of publishing already. It's always there.
And when academic journals are like one of the more consuming of the budget of the scientists in general, it's like one institution that moves millions and millions of dollars, because as far as I know, for publish to your articles in some of these academic journals, even they ask you to pay for it, and also to access to some of the articles that you have to pay us for that. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. A research institution spends money to submit the articles to journals and to buy the same journals to read.
Okay, and that means that we have some kind of articles that are like encrypted or not access to common people, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's so far it's the most common that you need a subscription, so you need either to pay yourself or your research institution to do it for you.
And when you want to do your investigations or research in your lab, have you ever faced with the problem that you don't have access to some information, or how you deal with that?
Well, I think we all scientists have faced that issue, and there is not really a solution. It's either working in a very rich research center or, luckily there is, I'm not saying anything new, there is a Sci-Hub. It's a not very legal research search engine for articles. It was created by a girl from Kazakhstan, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
And so that's what probably most scientists use all over the world now.
Yes, because actually I discovered this doing this podcast, and I was like surprised because I come from the countries in the South Global. I'm from Bolivia, and if you are thinking that for the scientists there don't have like the money and the budget to pay to the academic journals, but also don't have the possibility to access to that information. And that is going to be a limitation for them, and the possibility to make innovation in the South is going to be more and more difficult with all this system, you know. It's more probable that you are going to have innovation and discoveries always in the more powerful countries.
Yeah, of course. It's as it is. It's a pretty closed circle, so to say. Or well, the richest become richer, and poor ones stay poor. There is a increasing attention to open access articles. Now it's for some projects it's even a requirement to have the articles published as open access. But for the main journals it means that again the research institution is paying the journal an extra to have it open access. So it's
Well, for example, Argentina invests like 0.03 to make to develop science in the country. Here in Czech Republic, we are around like 1% something, but with the private investment, we arrive to this 2% of investment in investigation. It's a good amount if you compare with in the global way. Germany is like 3% more, and USA also 3% more. Do you know what is one of the countries that more investment do in science? Try to guess.
Well, you mentioned the main ones. There is probably still Japan and Israel.
Israel, it's true. Yeah, it's true. It's one of the countries that more investment do in science. But also, we are living in one city that has a lot of tradition in develop science, and especially in physics. And we also prepared some flash to talk about that.
The founding of the Charles University in 14th century was a starting point in Prague for lectures on physics and astronomy. The measurements of the planets and the sun were so accurate that the Prague astronomical clock at the old town hall is a good proof of that. At the beginning of the 15th century, the Swedish Tycho Brahe and the German Johannes Kepler came out with the discovery of laws of planetary motion, the most significant and famous scientific result of that time. In 1648, the professor and rector of the Charles University, Marcus Marzi, found that monochromatic rays do not change their color by repeated refraction, and published 20 years before Isaac Newton a description of rainbow's colors, the spectral dispersion of light beams passing through a prism, the diffraction of light on a wire, and more. In 18th century, the Clementinum Observatory was founded by Joseph Stepling. Its regular meteorological geophysical observations are today one of the longest series of systematic observations in the world. In 19th century, Christian Doppler formulated in Prague the famous physical effect, now known as the Doppler principle. The professor of experimental physics and rector of the Prague University, Ernst Mach, contributed to the development of several parts of physics and educated a whole generation of Czech physicists, including several eminences in the field. Albert Einstein himself recognized that Mach exercised a profound influence upon him. In fact, Einstein came to Prague as well. In April 1911, he was a full professor of theoretical physics in the German University in Prague, now part of the Charles University. The 17-month lasting stay in Prague was extraordinarily successful. Here, Einstein wrote 11 scientific works, 6 of them concerned with the theory of relativity. He met the writers Max Brod, Franz Kafka, the philosopher and active Zionist, Hugo Bergman, and the physicist Philipp Frank. On his own words, he had the necessary concentration for giving a more precise form to the basic idea of the general theory of relativity. He left on summer of 1912, as the golden years of physics in Prague as well seemed just to vanished. Prague has a long tradition of success in physics, which one day, with much effort and resources, it might return.
Good news, we have finally one woman in the salon. We can give a big applause to Belen. Thanks. There is hope for the science. Well, let's go to your studies. I would like you explain to us what is graphene and try to explain us in very simple. Don't try to impress us. Like, try that I can understand you that I don't know nothing about physics, you know.
Okay, I will try that.
Yeah.
Graphene, well, it's the first two-dimensional material that we've ever discovered as humanity. It means two-dimensional materials are...
Like the cartoons?
Well, in a sense, yes. They are very thin materials.
Yeah.
One or few atoms thick, so they are like in two dimensions, for electrons at least. It's... well...
What is the quality of this material?
Well, the thing is that they have unique properties that they don't have in 3 dimensions. Graphene, for example, is stronger than steel, but it's still flexible and it's an excellent conductor. Graphite is made of graphene, but it's not so good. Graphene alone is
and
special
is this
in
true
that
that
sense.
always admitted that they discovered it by accident in the lab?
No, not really by accident, but it was a pretty simple process. Just scotch tape and a piece of graphite, and by peeling, they got to 1 atom thick layer, and that was worth our Nobel Prize.
And how can the graphene change our daily life for us, the common people? You know?
Well, it's believed to be the next technological revolution. It can, well, in electronics, it should be especially a revolution for smaller and more powerful transistors or devices, and then
Stop. What means that in concrete? What are you going to have?
Well, for daily life, we can have, I don't know, transparent solar cells or flexible screens or chips that can be implanted under the skin.
I listened something about condoms.
Also, well, as it's so strong, that's commercialized already. Condoms that are thinner and stronger.
Ah, good. But I think the big investment in this field is because of the energy. Right?
Well, the energy, not only, just also the computational limits can be widened. Like quantum computing, graphene can play a big role in that.
But it's good the graphene to create batteries or save the energy?
Yes, also actually for energy storage is one of the big applications because it's so thin. So thin and lightweight, it can store hydrogen or other sources of energy.
And have you ever, when you are in your lab, you ask yourself if your discovery is going to help to the people or is going to be the business for some sales guy and to make someone rich?
I do, and I think most of us do all the time. And all in all, I believe that both are true. Of course, there is a lot of business in it, so it will be a great business for big companies, but at the same time, it's a in principle, very cheap and very easily available material, so it can make technologies that now we cannot even think of available for a lot of people.
But could be that also is not for both good, because, for example, if we are going to apply the graphene in the military industry, it's going to kill a lot of people.
True, that's...
we can also invest in the graphene to create these walls for take care of the borders.
Yeah, well, probably. It's that's the game of science. It's pure in that sense. It's discoveries are for all.
I was interested because as the people who are listening to us, we share some kind of a script to make this interview. And when I put this script with you, you have 2 replies in the script.
Mm-hmm.
And one it was like, well, I'm going to put my political position one side. I'm going to try to reply like scientist, you know. And even you let the second answer there, you know. You didn't erase it. You know? I don't know why. You want to be evident, you know, in your internal conflict. I don't know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you if that is possible, that you can separate easily your political opinions or your political view of the world when you do science.
Well, in a sense, I think it's pretty easy for me, or in my field, because we are doing really fundamental science. So we are investigating the fundamental properties of materials.
Yeah.
We don't see directly any application, and so that's where I feel safe. At the same time, I know.
But you wonder what is going to be the possible application. You know?
Of course, it's. I have to. It's in our conferences for graphene. There is a lot of companies coming to see if there's something they can use and sell.
Someone said that if even if the scientists go far from the politics, the politics is going to touch their door anyway, you know. And even I'm here touching your door, you know. And something that I also would like to share with you is like, well, in a hypothetical case that the graphene is not going to be used for the military industry, blah, 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 and is going to use only for the energy, that is the thing that right now they are like worried about that, how is going to deal with the energetic crisis. If we are going to use the graphene, it's going to be some way to preserve the current order, you know. The model of make business and the market is not going to change, you know. It's going to be the same, but with another product.
Yes, definitely. I was thinking of the example of vaccines, the vaccines for COVID we had. These mRNA-based vaccines, they were a technological advance, a big one, and of course we were able to vaccinate a lot of people, but still in the order, rich ones first and then the rest.
Good. Well, now I would like to learn one Czech word. We try to learn a little bit Czech in this program, and we have one word to learn today. Let's try to guess what is going to be the word from today.
Hello there! Today in Check Out the Czech, guess which word we'll find out. With this one, you'll have a break. It's easy, short, interesting, doesn't have haček, čárka, or even 2 consonants in a row. Crazy, huh? And no, it's not sex. Not today. The word we're going to learn is physics. Yeah, okay, alright, thank you. Okay, I know it's gonna be easy. Okay, but calm down, yes, thank you. Come on, shut up. Physics in Czech is fyzika. F-Y-Z-I-K-A. And it means science of nature. It comes from the Latin physica and the ancient Greek physike, which is derived from physicos, that means natural, and physis, that means nature. In brief, that it could be a scientific way to observe the nature. So naturally, embrace the science as a manual and keep on checking out new Czech words with us. Next probably won't be this easy. Get ready and stick around.
Well, I have to tell you thank you because all the time before this podcast, I was thinking that physics is the study of the movement. Because when I was in the school, the teachers give us like some kind of equations to measure how one ball is going to move and the point of equilibrium of that. And I was thinking that all the time the physics is only that. But it looks is bigger, right?
Yes, well, I had that experience also actually in school, and only the last year when I visited the Department of Physics, I realized it was a lot more interesting than that.
And in which point of your life you say, well, I want to study that?
Exactly in that moment when I saw in the Department of Physics of my city, Torino, we had an open day and they were showing us the results from CERN with particles hitting each other and finding new particles, and that was the call for me.
And the other thing is that when I was in a Catholic school, and when they talk about the science, all the time we were thinking that is something like static, it's like the woman and the guy has to be together because that is the nature, they say, and you think the nature like something like is stable, like constant in the same point, but then when you study the physics, it's like all the time everything is changing, and movement,
That's a good, difficult point because science is a lot like that, and a lot of scientists are very conservative in that sense.
Really? There are conservative scientists in this case?
A lot, yes. Not only in that sense. It was a surprise also for me that it's not necessarily the most progressive people. There's, also, if you think of religion, you would think that scientists do not believe, but that's not true also.
Well, I remember that when I was checking the biography of Einstein, there were the Nazis in the universities has also their point of view of a physicist that was like opposite to the physicist proposals that Einstein was having in the university also. It's like this social debates influence in the science in some way, in these internal discussions.
I'm not sure I got that, sorry.
Well, it was something interesting, but the only thing that I would like to say is that the science is some kind of like social product, and all the discussions that we have, for example, if they are conservative or not conservative, is going to also, I think, appear also in the internal debate of the discipline.
Yes, definitely. And we do also talk of the presence and the role of women in science, for instance. For the rest, well, I don't know really about the rest. It can feel also a bit of a protected world from outside.
Good. Well, to end the interview, I would like to ask you, what is your suggestion or your advice to improve the labor conditions from the scientifics here in Prague?
Well, as far as I know, the main thing would be higher salaries for PhDs, because I hear they're generally low everywhere, but here in Czech Republic it's especially a problem.
We can listen applause here in between the public. Okay, thank you very much for being here today, Michele. How did you feel in the interview?
Very good, very fun. Thank you.
Well, now we are going to continue with the questions with the people who attend to the meeting. And for you who are listening to us, thank you for arriving to this point, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Pero antes, en un segundo se unen tiempo y espacio y el universo brota. Se unen dos núcleos de átomos y una estrella explota, que forman mineral, que forma sal, que forma rocas, que se atraen y se calientan cada vez que chocan, hasta ser magma desprendiendo vapores que flotan y que en el cielo se condensan formándose gotas, y en ese mar una molécula se une a otra. En fin, el resto de la historia lo sabéis es de sobra. No se puede dar sin acabar quitando. Por eso lo justo es un plato al gusto de cada bando. Solo si entendemos que en cada acto de creación va implícita la destrucción, quizás nos acabemos perdonando. No somos ni menos naturales ni más complejos, ni hay nada más artificial que la idea de serlo, nada más artificial que los conceptos o el intento de cortar el universo en fragmentos para entenderlo. Mi piel es una muralla con el mundo externo, mis venas son caminos, mi cerebro es un gobierno. Esas células malignas fueron revolucionarias que intentaron derrocarlo pero acabaron muriendo. Pero estamos ebulliendo de vida y te sientes sola. De hecho, ojalá nuestra especie actuara como esa flora de bacterias que te habitan pero que se autocontrolan, porque saben que si una de ellas te mata mueren todas. Todos nacemos pluripotentes, células madre. Todos los continentes fueron Pangea, pero al especializarnos perdimos componentes, nos hicimos competentes solo en alguna tarea. Yo no quiero estudiar un punto mientras todo se expande. ¡Qué absurdo! Contentarse así siendo el mundo tan grande. O lo absurdo es que esas ansias que tienes de ver el mundo no te dejen disfrutar ni el mundo que tienes delante. La chispa, la chesca, la llama, el bloque, el golpe, la esquina, la lámpara, el día, el hambre, la presa, la caja, la noche, su carne, su sangre, su grasa, el hilo, su pelo, la aguja, su hueso y más por frío que empatía meternos en su pellejo. Las historias, los ídolos, la gratitud, las súplicas, los golpes, ruido, ritmo, patrón, armonía, música, las manos, los pinceles, el lienzo, las paredes, las manchas, los garabatos, las formas que imitan seres, seguir a las manadas, huir de la escasez, la semilla en la tierra, el hogar por primera vez, las bandas, las aldeas, las ciudades, los estados, las trifulcas, las batallas, las conquistas, los esclavos, trabajar por consumir, consumir hasta olvidar que nuestro objetivo era tan simple como el bienestar.